Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm interested in hearing about the concern for the enrollees. That's very interesting. My friend from New York spoke so eloquently about concern for the enrollees. I would just add for the record that 52 times my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have voted to repeal the Affordable Care Act, 52 times. I'm not asking you to comment on that, but just to state for the record that 52 attempts by my colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle have been to repeal the entire act itself. So it's interesting to hear about the concerns for the enrollees. Quite frankly, Mr. Bagdoyan, I think that this hearing is premature. You've stated yourself that you have not finished your investigation. Is that correct?
Yes, the work is ongoing on the investigative and the audit front. Yes.
And I would suggest that possibly part of that investigation, as Mr. Lewis was referring to, was seeing this through. Have any of your undercover investigators actually accessed any health care through these plans?
They have not.
They have not. And they're paying a premium. They're paying a premium, and the government is giving a subsidy directly to the insurance companies, correct?
That's correct. As part of the investigative scenarios, that is correct.
So it appears as though you've operated a very sophisticated criminal operation here. Not that your intention is criminal. In other words, if someone's thinking in terms of a criminal mindset to actually exploit the system, you're kind of working in that mode in an honest way, I guess you could say, right?
That is part of our tasking to investigate, and
I appreciate it. I think GAO does a wonderful
GAO
job,
do that.
and it's important from an accounting point of view and understanding and saving taxpayers. This is not accusatory towards you or
I
towards
understand.
you're doing. I want to make that clear.
No worries.
But what is the ultimate prize here for the criminal? Is it a free colonoscopy? What is the ultimate benefit to the criminal who's taking these risks to do this? This isn't like Medicare fraud where the doctor is actually cooking the books in the end to put more money into his or her pocket. Why would a non-citizen, for instance, risk discovery by applying for health insurance, or a fraudster with an illegal Social Security number use them for this purpose when there are other, obviously more lucrative ways in which to exploit those things? Why would they do that?
I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to comment on the intent of anyone attempting fraud.
Let me ask you this question then. In addition to the penalties under federal criminal law, the ACA has civil penalties for providing false information. Is that correct?
I believe that's my understanding.
So in a perfect world, the people that are, again, if these were real criminals, if they were attempting to do this, they would probably be, they would have some knowledge that possibly there'd be some penalties if this was uncovered. Is that correct?
I can't speak for individuals. There is, I think, sufficient information.
And in fact, the penalties are as stiff as $25,000 for failure to provide information and $250,000 for providing false information. That's a substantial amount. Is that not enough, or do you think we should maybe increase those penalties? Do you think that those penalties would have some impact on the criminal's intent to pursue this?
Again, Mr. Crowley, I'd be hesitant to comment on that.
I appreciate that. I see that, I know that I'm running out of time, but I see that my colleagues, again, once on the other side of the aisle, are using this as an opportunity, I think, to exploit their dislike of the Affordable Care Act, and I know that they don't like it. I get that. But today, I guess the theatrical selection is much ado about nothing, because there's really nothing here yet until we see what happened to the true-up, what the follow-up of the IRS would be in terms of determining whether or not that individual was eligible for those credits. And I know that they haven't helped in terms of making that even more helpful to the recipient of the credits themselves, so I appreciate that. It's just another attempt to try to smear, I think, the Affordable Care Act. More people are getting coverage, as my colleague from Georgia has said, and they're liking it. All the doomsday predictions haven't come true, and they're now trying to trump up new accusations that ignore the reality of it, that people are actually accessing health care and enjoying it. Yes, there are instances where people misstate or wrongly estimate their income, and for those inconsistencies, they are later verified and corrected, and if not, they have to pay it back. So I think, Mr. Bagdoyan, as I mentioned before, I do appreciate your work, and we need to do this, and it's important work that you're engaged in. but I think it's been premature. It's like having an investigation of organized crime and talking about an investigation that's going on before you've gotten to the conclusion. It tips off a lot of people that we may not want to be tipping off. With that, I'll yield back.